Hi guys, welcome to this new lecture about presets. Sometimes in After Effects we're trying to create a motion or an animation that we have seen somewhere or trying to figure it out. And we find it very complicated. Yet we could go around and find that After Effects already has a preset or After Effects has a trick or two to be able to do that motion or that animation very easily and very simply. For that, I decided here that I will show you the blur in the effects and preset and bring to your attention certain techniques that might simplify a lot the way you work and get your animations to become really, very, very nice. Okay, let's go to the bridge. We'll choose our layer. We come to the beginning here, of course. We go to bridge. I am in the blur, so it's text and there are blurs here, so I'll double click on them. Now the first blur I'm looking at is a very simple blur. It's blur by word. The second one I will look at, for example, is this blur moving in. Let's say blur by word. Though I have one word only, nevertheless I want to take this animation and look at it. Now notice what they have done here. The blur is coming in and showing. It's pretty nice, pretty cool, and extremely smooth. So how did they do it? If I press UU, I will notice that first of all it is using the offset and it's not start and end. The offset goes from the middle of the word and they are using the opacity and the blur. Now the trick of the opacity is very interesting. Then the blur is not equal. It's 184 and 277, so there are two different blurs here. If you change to the same value, for example, I press alternate, there is a change of animation. So it's up to you to decide exactly how you want to do it and what is the best one. But notice here mainly the use of opacity with the blur. So the opacity comes in and the blur will make it appear. If you remove opacity, put it back to 100%, you have just a blur in the beginning. So the use of opacity is pretty important, and that's a simple trick that you already know. By the way, they came here and changed the name of the animator and blur by word animator. Somebody took his time to write a name. Let's delete this animator and we have absolutely nothing. Cool. Let's go back to bridge and try the blur bullet train. That's pretty nice, by the way. I will come back and let's say, is it done? Yes. Let me add a word here. I will double click on the layer, go in front and say space graphics. So hopefully my layer will be in line. Let's move it and see exactly. Cool. Let's put the layer here. Fine. So we have our preview now. And notice how it's coming from both sides. So how did they do that? How did it come from both sides? That's pretty easy, by the way. It's easy because I can press UU and go and see exactly the opacity and the blur. The blur is unidirectional on the X only. That's another trick that you already learned here. So using different values for blur and using the opacity with the blur will give you a different kind of animation. Fine, this is one. Let's delete this animator. So now also the animator is renamed here. We delete it and we need to put this one to 0. We go back to bridge and let's try, for example, to see what this one is offering. Now this we have tried to do something like this with the wiggle. Well, actually it was always here. So we go back and see how it works. Now it's pretty nice. It's more aggressive than what we have done together. And also there are a few tricks that we might learn here. And here they have used an expression, which is the wiggle expression. I haven't used the expression wiggle here. You will learn this wiggle expression later on in the course when we get to the part of expressions. I used the expression from the wiggle selector here. Now it seems this is better, or this is much more aggressive. Cool. Let's delete the jiggy animator. Nice name. We go back to the bridge and let's see this one. This is very much in use and I like it very much. We are going to change it a bit. We double click on it, go back to After Effects and see exactly how it works. You notice it's very nice. It comes from far and focus in. This is an animation that you can always do. Now, what do you think they have used here? Obviously, there is scale involved. I think so. And the blur is not on every character, is more on other characters. So it has to be, let's look. We press U. First, grouping alignment. They changed the grouping alignment. They worked with the offset. If you look at the range selector, we notice we have the offset at -100 and the end at 100. So everything disappears and comes in. Cool. The unit is percentage. You see the easy low is 68%, so they can come down nicely. Look at the scale. The scale is 13 on the x-axis and 3000 on the y-axis, and this explains how they're coming from very far to here. Now, pretty cool trick that you can always use. Then we have the blur also on the x-axis. On the 13 here is very high, on the y-axis is very low, and it gives you this animation. Of course, now you can come and fiddle with it and change it the way you want, and maybe don't give any blur here on 0. You see it changes a bit. It becomes more rigid and everything is coming. Okay, you have the randomized order is on, so it is randomized. Now it's off. I put it off, and the animation comes all together. Randomized on is very beautiful. So using the randomize and using the scale with 13 and 3000 coming from far, and also using the blur on 2 different values, you have created a very beautiful animation, and very simply. Now, if you come here and start changing with this one, then animation, save animation preset, it will be yours, and you can use it on and on in all your animations. This is all I want to bring to your attention for blur effects for text. See you in the next lecture.